Hey, what is up, guys? It's Cam Bam here. Today we are going to be doing the final part of our album ranking series for 2025. This will be part 3, and we have about 7 new albums to rank today. If you guys like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to also check out the other parts if you have not seen them. Yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, so first off, before we even start ranking these new albums down here, I want to rearrange some albums that I had already ranked from these past episodes or the past parts of the series. I definitely, after I got my Spotify Wrapped this year, I have seen that how much I've listened to and how much I really actually truly enjoy Big Epic Nothing from Grabbits. And therefore, I think this is my favorite album of this year. I really do. I think it's an amazing album. I just kind of forgot how good it was after being overfilled in my head with all these other albums that have come out this year. I mean, we have a ton of albums this year that have come out. So it kind of took away that memory of how good it was for me on this album individually. I really think The Good, the Bad, and The Good, the Bad, the Dollar Menu is also really good, but I think Hurry Up Tomorrow is a little better, and I also think Clips is a little better than that one. I like that album. I just feel like these 3 were the best albums out this year. I also think Run is not fair to put up in S tier, even though I liked every song on the new tracks that had been released from the 10th anniversary edition deluxe. I don't think it's fair to put them against these whole entire full-on albums, and especially at the very top. So it was still a good album addition to the album with the 4 songs that came along with. But I think this one's actually going to go into A. I also think Cycles, and I'm not lie, Cycles literally was ruined by Ian Dior or his team or whatever, because they totally took out like a few songs or a couple good songs from that album, and they replaced it with, there were 2 new good songs and the rest were all trash. So it minimized the consistency of this album was not as good as it was whenever it had first come out. They really kind of ruined it. So this one's probably going to go into B tier now. I also think Evolution of the Rose, I kind of got tired of that album very fast. That one's going to go into C. It's going to go top of C, though, because there were a few songs that I still like from that album. And I think this looks pretty good. Actually, Man on the Moon, I have also gotten a lot more used to. I know last episode I said that it was a kind of like a big disappointment to me, but I went to their concert and I also re-listened to the full album a little bit more, and it was actually really good. I think the reason I didn't like it as much is because I was still trying to get used to it. It had just come out whenever I made that last video or the last episode to this series. So yeah, this one's probably going to go into A. I think it is going to go behind A1 Nations though. So this looks a whole lot better to me, for now. Yeah, I think this looks a lot better. But let's get on to ranking our new albums. First up, we have Monsoon Season by Hanuman Kind. Now, Hanuman Kind I had never heard of before. Even before this album came out, I had never heard of him. Although I did know one song, his big hit, Big Dogs. I just didn't know it was from him. So I hadn't even heard this full song yet. I just knew the chorus. So yeah, this album was actually a very good album. I got it on my Spotify recommended, so I went back and was looking through my Spotify recommended and found this, and I listened to it, and it was a pretty good album. I liked how he makes it very unique. It's very unique. And I like how it's kind of like a horrific, I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of like a eerie kind of vibe to each song. They kind of sound like soundtracks to a horror movie in a way, especially with the production and the instrumentals that he went with. Yeah, they kind of sound like straight up horror movie, and I don't know why, but that's really cool to me because you never really see rap like that. So to start out with Hanuman Kind, I'm going to put it on the list in just a sec, but I'm going to tell you guys my top 3 songs with each of these albums, like I always do. So for Hanuman Kind's Monsoon Season, my top 3 were Sicko is at number 1, Cause at number 2, and then 3, Monsoon Season. I just really like those 3 because they kind of feel so haunting, with the vibes. Like I said, they kind of sound like a soundtrack to a horror movie. But those three songs were really good. There were quite a few others. I know people are going to say, like, why isn't Big Dogs in that list? As much as I liked Big Dogs too, I just feel like it isn't. I didn't think it was as good as those three that I came up with on the list for my top three. I think this album was really, really good. I think it had a lot of uniqueness, it had a lot of originality, and I think this is just a good album overall. If I were to give this album a rating out of 10, it would probably be like a 7 out of 10. It wasn't perfect. I think there were about 4 songs on the whole album that I just did not care for, but majority of the album I did like. So I'm going to put this into. I honestly think this one probably could go into A. I'm debating whether it's either A or B, and if it were to go into B, it'd be top of B because the consistency on that one is a lot more than a lot of these. So you know what? I'm going to put it back of A. I come back to this album quite a bit now. It's a really good album. I think it's deserves the A spot. I just don't think it's as good as these right here. But yeah, I think it's a really, really good album overall. I think I really enjoyed that one. All right, now we're on to Father Figure by Jon Bellion, another artist I had never heard of before this. And I'm surprised with this one because he's actually a super popular artist, I found out. I had no idea who he was, or I have never heard a single song from him, I don't think. But I got this, another one on my recommended for Spotify, and I wanted to listen to it just to give it a try. And I'm honestly not gonna lie, there were a few songs, like two songs that I really truly do enjoy on this album. There are a few others that are okay, and then there are some really stinkers, big stinkers on this album. I just didn't. The whole consistency of this album is what really led it to not being as great for me. Although, like I said, there are 2 songs that I really do love. But the consistency of this album is going to make the rating go down quite a bit because there are only like about like I think 6, maybe 5 songs I like on this album. Out of the whole, I think there was like 14 or 16. I can't remember how many songs were on this album, but quite a bit from what I like, from the amount I liked overall. But yes, I think this one I'm going to give my top 3 right now. My top 3 songs on this album would be Oblivious, Horoscope, and Get It Right. Those 3 songs, like I said, the top 2 were Horoscope or the Oblivious and Horoscope. Those 2 songs I really enjoy, especially Oblivious. Oblivious, he goes all out on those vocals. The instrumental is beautiful. It sounds kind of like a Super Mario Galaxy kind of like instrumental. I don't know, but it was very beautiful. I love that song a lot. That is the best song on the album for me. But in terms of consistency, like I said, I'm going to have to give this album a lower rating. This album I'm going to give a 4 out of 10. Just because I didn't like how many songs I didn't like on this album compared to the ones I did like. There were definitely more songs I didn't like than I did. But in terms of where it goes on the tier list, I'm probably going to put this one in C. I'm probably going to put it right here between Evolution of the Rose and No Holds Barred. I think that's where it should go. I really haven't like come back to No Holds Barred, especially not Life is Beautiful, and I don't think a single Reflection song is on my playlist in general. So yeah, I think that, and I think I will listen to Evolution of the Rose a little bit more than I did with this. But like I said, it has 2 really, really good songs on it. But yeah, I think it's just gonna go into C tier right here. I think it's a perfect spot for it. All right, next up we have Idols by Yungblud. Now, Yungblud is another artist. This artist I had heard of before. It's not like Jon Bellion where I'm completely living under a rock and have never heard of him before. But Yungblud I have heard of before. I just had never listened to a single song from him. So when I forgot how I even came across his album. I think I was looking for stuff for another video in the future that's going to come out at the end of this year where I'm going to rank songs by the alphabet, like from 2025, like the best songs from each letter in the alphabet of this year. And I came across his song Zombie because I could not find a song for Z. And I was like, oh, this probably isn't going to be that great. I've never really listened to Yungblud, but I really enjoyed that song. And that's actually going to be my top 3 when I get to that. But yeah, this was actually really not a bad album. It was pretty half and half in a way. There were about half of the songs on the album I didn't like, half of the songs I did, almost exactly. But there were a few songs on this album that really kind of gave back like old vibes, like old 80s, 90s vibes. Not really 80s, but more 90s rock. It was kind of cool to listen to. But for the top 3 songs I'm going to get into, I'm going to say my top 3 songs were number 1, Monday Murder, 2, Hello Heaven Hello, and 3, Zombie. Yeah, the one song on this album that I like, my number 1 song is really, truly Monday Murder. That song is really cool. I really love the instrumental for that song. And like I said, it sounds a lot like early 90s, kind of late 90s. I don't know how to describe it, but it sounds like a 90s kind of rock. And I really enjoyed it. It was a really good song. Now, where to put it on the list, since I said it was half or half and half, I didn't like, half I did like, I'm going to put this one in the B for sure, just because of the consistency and how many songs I liked versus didn't like. I honestly don't know where to put it in B, though. I'm probably going to put it right here between Cycles and ADHD 2. As much as I didn't like how Cycles changed up, it started out with my version of Cycles, which was really good. ADHD 2 is good in a way too, but I don't come to that album as much. I don't really like go back to those songs that much. So I think this is a great spot for it in between these two albums. I think it's like a perfect spot for it, yeah. All right, next up we have Inertia by Pendulum. Now, the only reason I know about this album is because AWOL Nation, an artist I really love, has been featured in a song from this album, and I decided to go back and like listen to the full entire album from the original artist, which is Pendulum. And I really, at some points I didn't like, some points I did. This album was very unique in terms of what I've listened to in the past. I don't really think I've listened to anything really quite like this album. It sounded more of like a electronic kind of rock, but it wasn't bad. If I were to give my top 3 songs on this album, though, it would be number 1 would be Guiding Lights, which is actually the one that AWOL Nation was featured in. Number 2 would be Archangel, and number 3 would be Come Alive. Now, I really think that in the number 1 song for Guiding Lights, AWOL Nation completely carried that song. Even though Pendulum's the main artist, AWOL Nation completely dominated the end of that song, and it made that the best part of the whole entire song. But I will say it does, Inertia's Pendulum's part was not bad. It's just AWOL Nation did so much better. But Pendulum did really, really good on the other 2 on that top 3 list, Archangel and Come Alive. I think they're only ones in that because it's their album. They didn't feature anyone in those 2 songs. So those 2 songs were really, really good, especially on the instrumentals. But overall, I think this album would probably be like a 5 out of 10. Just because there were quite a few songs that I didn't care for on this album once again. And a lot of songs that I did like. It was just half and half, kind of like that again. But I think this one's also going to go into B tier. I think this one's actually going to go a little lower than Idols did. In fact, I think ADHD 2 might need to be moved in a way. I think I'm going to move that right here. I liked Nothing's Ever Good Enough 2 a little bit more than ADHD 2. I don't know why I had it there. But Inertia, I'm going to probably put in between ADHD 2 and 20 Years From Now. I think that's a great spot for it. It looks like, yeah, it's completely in the middle of B tier, and that's usually what I would think of it as. It's very mid. It has good songs, very good songs, and then a lot of other mid bad songs. It's just half and half. But I still like the album overall. I just thought it was kind of middle of the ground, you know. All right, and next up we have The Hard Way by, I think his name is Cameron Whitcomb, I think. But he made this album. Now, I think it started out amazing. With the first, 3 songs on this album, it started out amazing. But then it goes into one of my least favorite genres, kind of like a hint of my least favorite genre was put into his songs after that. It was country. And I hate country. I cannot stand country. It's one of the worst genres of music I think that has ever been a thing. I can't stand it. So whenever I heard a little bit of, it wasn't full on country, but it had hints of country into it. And I didn't like that. So, but I will say the first song, The Hard Way, what the album is named after, That song individually was an amazing song. It's very catchy, and he goes all out with his vocals. Instrumental's really good. So I think this one I'm gonna give my top three on now. We're gonna go with number one is definitely The Hard Way. Two is Pretty Little, which is actually later on the album, but I did like that one. That one was an exception. And number three was Options. Now there was like I think maybe two other songs that I really liked on this album. Maybe I think one or two more. But overall, this album was very lackluster in consistency. But like I said, it had some good songs on it, especially The Hard Way. I really enjoyed that song. But if I were to put this in a tier, oh, I forgot to give my. Did I give my rating on it? No, I don't think I did. I will give it a 4 out of 10, just because and it would have honestly been lower if The Hard Way wasn't so good, because that one really kind of bumped it up even higher. But if it weren't for The Hard Way, this probably would have been like a 2, 3 out of 10. But I'm gonna give this one a 4 out of 10 because The Hard Way is a really, really good song. So I think though I'm gonna put this one in the C tier, and I think I'm gonna put it behind Father Figure, just because I think Father Figure had a better hit for it with Oblivious than I did with The Hard Way. But both have really good hits. Both are also lackluster in consistency, but they both are kind of similar in terms of how good they are. All right, next up we have the EP from NF, my favorite artist of all time. I had been waiting for this to come out for so long. It felt like an eternity because he hadn't come out with like a single or any type of music at all since Hope until he released Fear, and I had been waiting for this. So I'm not gonna lie, he delivered. He delivered what I was expecting. He completely dominated a lot of the albums on here. But there was one song that I didn't like from it, and I knew I wouldn't because of the feature. It was the Who I Was with him and Machine Gun Kelly. I really think NF's part wasn't the problem. It was Machine Gun Kelly's part, because I said, like I said, I knew I wasn't gonna like this. I knew Machine Gun Kelly is a horrible artist in my eyes, so I knew I wasn't really gonna like that one. And I really ended up not liking it. I think that is definitely the weakest song on this album by far. But I will give my top 3 songs on this album. This album was amazing overall, or EP. It was an amazing EP. Very, very sad, but also very beautiful at the same time. A lot of NF's albums are like that. Anyways, I'm going to get to my top 3. I keep saying I'm going to get to it, but then I don't. My top 3 songs on this on this EP is number 1, Give Me a Reason, number 2, Fear, and number 3, Washed Up. Now, I know a lot of people who enjoy NF and have listened to this EP say Washed Up is the best song. And I know Give Me a Reason is more of like a modern kind of hip hop beat, and he doesn't really go for that quite as often. But I just really love that instrumental. I really love the hype version of NF sometimes. And that was a perfect example of him being super hype. I really enjoy that song. I also really enjoy Fear. And I love Washed Up. And I love Sorry. And I love Home. But Give Me a Reason just dominated that whole album, or the whole EP for me. Although the only one that came really super close with it was Fear. Because that's my second favorite on this album. I really like Fear as well. I love the ending of that song. I think it's very beautiful. And it was a very great start to the EP. So anyways, this EP is definitely going to go up to S tier. This is a very good EP, and it might sound like I'm being biased because this is my favorite artist, but I'm not gonna lie, he dominates every album in my eyes. So I think this one's actually going to go right here before Clips. I'm sorry, but Clips was good, and it was a bigger album, but I think Fear, just in terms of consistency and the amount of quality in his songs, was way better. I don't know. I think it was a little better. And Eclipse is usually, don't get me wrong, it's a great album, or not Clips, Let God Sort 'Em Out by Eclipse. It's a great album, but I also think in some ways it is a little overrated. And I honestly think these two albums still stay up top. But Fear was an amazing album, don't get me wrong. I really enjoyed this album. Okay. And last but not least, we have Forever Foggy by Ryan Caraveo, I think his name is. He came out with a single this year called, did I give this a rating out of 10? I didn't give it a rating out of 10. Fear for a rating out of 10 would be definitely be a 9 out of 10. I keep forgetting the ratings. My bad. Yeah, that would definitely be a 9 out of 10. The only reason it's not a 10 out of 10 is because of who I was with the MGK feature. But anyways, let's go on to the next one. Ryan Caravagno's Forever Foggy. Now, like I was saying, he came out with a single this year called How to Dream, and it's what led me to his music. And I really, really enjoy that song. And it's also included in this album, but I will say that there are quite a few songs that I didn't like from this album. I felt like he has a lot of similar sounding songs, and at some points it kind of felt a little repetitive on this album. And I still think that How to Dream is my favorite song on this album, which is going to lead me to my top 3 songs I'm going to get to. Number 1 is How to Dream, 2 is Filet, and 3 is Cinnamon Sugar. Now, there were a few other songs that I did enjoy on this song, or on this album. But they're also, like I said, it's a lot of these albums are 50-50, where there are quite a few songs that I don't like and quite a few songs that I do like. And I think this one was another example of that, where it's 50-50 on it. But I think this one had a little bit more quality. Yes, it was repetitive, but How to Dream was just a beautiful song in general. So I think this one I'm going to put into B. I think a good spot for it would be right above ADHD 2. Yeah, I think that's good. Just because ADHD 2 was actually like a little bit more forgettable than this one. And I might honestly think the same thing about this one. This one did just come out. This is the last album that has come out this year that I'm going to rank. But right now it's a pretty good album in my opinion. It honestly might be raised on the list a little bit. You guys won't know about it because I won't make a third part about this, or a fourth part of it, because this is the end of the year. But anyways, I think this album was good as of now. And if I were to give a rating out of 10 on this album, I would probably give this one like a 5 out of 10 as well. Like I said, just half and half, 50-50 on a lot of these albums, and this was another example of that. But anyways, guys, I think this list looks a whole lot better in my eyes. I think it looks a lot more what I would think this year would rank like. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. But anyways, guys, this is going to be the end of the video. But anyways, guys, this is going to be the end of it. But anyways, guys, this is the end of the video, and I hope you guys enjoyed. But anyways, guys, this is going to be the end of the video, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to give me your thoughts on any of these albums if you guys have listened to any of these. A lot of these are kind of underrated and more indie, not really indie, but like not as popular albums. But if you guys have heard of these albums, let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. But anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.